are talking in predominantly with white countries like American stereotype or discrimination against community of color is rising. The problem is they get discrimination not only from the majority society, but also they get discrimination from the government who's supposed to protect them structurally discriminate them. For example, Donald Trump, like we know, ladies and gentlemen, the Donald Trump policy against Hispanic illegal immigrants, or how police brutally arrest black people and prejudice communities wearing hijab as terrorists. We don't we don't want our children experience this scary experience which harm psychological trauma from the horror of current government and xenophobia major white society. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not talking about the minority. The minority has didn't do anything to have integrate with the majority, but we talking about the minority has been make effort to integrate with the majority, but the majority can't accept their exist, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, why it is urgent to raising children in ethnic enclave? Because ladies and gentlemen, we must protect the psychology of the children, ladies and gentlemen. First, we know that the harm if we raising children in ethnic enclave, the harm is they are not really in fight for their real life when they have to compete with major white people, ladies and gentlemen. And second, there may be competent they may be less competent in speaking English because the time communicated in their ethnic language. And the third, there will be more difficult to action with people and come from major communities. We know that when the why I say like that, because when the children has been always in envelope in ethnic envelope, and when they go out from it, it's so hard from them to can integrate with the majority. But ladies and gentlemen, the main thing that we must get is, ladies and gentlemen, we must protect the psychology of the children, ladies and gentlemen, because if the psychology of the children is broke, it will give them give many impact from them, ladies and gentlemen. I will explain, ladies and gentlemen, what I have thought about. So they are not really in fight for the real life when they have to compete with major white people, ladies and gentlemen. If we have has been access in ethnic and for a long time, we cannot make we must. I know it's hard for us to go back to the majority society, but for the time that we can protect the psychology of the children. And when the children come back to the majority society, they have been adult, ladies and gentlemen, so they can manage the psychology. They can know that, oh, I must survive because I'm not children. They can make adaptation with the majority, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we put the society when they are still kids, or they're still be a children, it will make it will break their psychology, ladies and gentlemen. For example, ladies and gentlemen, children cannot get many pressure, ladies and gentlemen. They cannot give any pressure. So ladies and gentlemen, get bullying from the school, and the teacher who sometimes cannot who sometimes cannot give the same this cannot give the same thing with the teacher give to the majority, ladies and gentlemen. We know that there's many discrimination that they can do, and it will broke the psychology of the children. So, ladies and gentlemen, we must protect this. We must protect the important thing is we must protect the psychology of the children so they can grow up with the healthy psychology so they can survive their life in future, ladies and gentlemen. So what I have explained, we I have explained we are we are we are proud to support this motion, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
This house as a first-generation immigrant parents of color in a predominantly white country would choose to live and raise children in ethnic enclave. So we are talking about white country that have discrimination already exist and structural. Not only that, but also the regulation and major behavior has proven discriminate against to the color people. Example in America, how Donald Trump policies against Hispanical illegal immigrant. So, as a parents of color, they don't want their children experience this scary experience which harm psychological and make trauma from the order of current government and xenophobia major white societies. So we believe that a children physique growing up is more important than initiation into integration with major people or community. As a community of color is not enough if they only alone or not live in specific place like ethnic cave because there is no relation to help them. First in my example, if they have problem, they don't have lawyer to help. It means that they have no relation people to help them if they live in the outside of the ethnic enclave. So when they live in the ethnic enclave, they will be the same people that have a high tolerance to them and will be able to help them. So if they live in ethnic enclave, they will force the problem together with their community, and it will make them more powerful to against their problem in their life. So if the children live and rise in community, there will have no narration to make their feel to become stress, even trauma, so that they can grow up better. Because to make children psychology better in that society, children need supporter in their environment so that they can against the word example against the discrimination when they were integrate to major community. They will not be able trauma because they have powerful basic that make them to be strong people, and they have their own community. So that's why we believe a child psychology growing up more important. And we can imagine that if the child is school in the school or in the major people, there will be the discrimination like bullying, and if they got bullying, they will they don't have their education. They're not focused on their education. It just make them stressed and don't want to go to school anymore. But if they live in ethnic enclave, and their school in there, the people will give the good, especially the teacher will teach them good because they have the same ethnic, so that it means that there is a problem they when they live in ethnic, because they cannot survive better in major community, because in ethnic community we know that, like, in there will be have a habit, like their ethnic, not in general, like what happened in the major people, like their language, like their and other so on. So if there will be a little bit problem to them to get to survive in major society, but we believe that, because we know that where they live in ethnic, they just only use their ethnic language, not like English or other. Just if they are Mexican, they're on Mexican, they only use Mexico language, and when they are live in America and join to the major community, and they cannot speak English well, because daily their life they just speak English. But it's not a big deal, because as we know that what we need is to make the children have a good environment when they are growing up. So when they are have young, they are have 16, they have teenager, they can against, and they can irrationally to against the against the against the major society life environment, and they will be, when the children they will be stronger when they are growing up in their society. So that's why we believe that children life and rise in the society, in the ethnic enclave, is more than important than they live, and then they live and rise in the ethnic in the major community, because we don't make have we won't give the best give the best solution, give the best environment when they are children. Thank you.